What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Supergirl, Season 6, Episode 13, The Gauntlet. So yeah, I decided to just go ahead and stick with it, because I know I've got 8 more episodes left, and these are going to be a slog, but I'm really hoping that that last episode was the last of them wanting to preach a message that takes up an entire episode. Fingers crossed, we can focus on the main problem now, which is, of course, Nixley and her quest to find all these different totems and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just same old Supergirl with this one. Not really anything. Obviously, there are those moments with Kelly where she still pops in. She still has her stupid stuff going on. Alex basically trying to make it seem like she is just so amazing and so wonderful and so powerful and blah 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 blah. And it's one of those things where, kind of similar to what they did with Felicity on Arrow, the more you say it, the less I believe it. You have to show it. You have to show me why all of these words that are being directed at this person are warranted. And you're not showing me any of that. You just keep saying it as if, oh, the more we say it, the more it's true, guys. You gotta believe it because all these characters are saying it, so surely that must mean it's true, right? They wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. That's not how it works. It's not how writing works, so please, use your brains. I wish they had brains still in the writing room for these shows. But yeah, I mean, as far as the totem of courage and stuff in this episode, I mean, it was fine. There were some funny moments with it. You know, Jean, the way he was acting under the courage totem, he just yes, good job everybody. I'm proud of all of you. Like it was pretty funny. Seeing Alex just sort of jump into danger, super excited, was also funny. Brainy, for some reason, like I don't really get how courage affected him. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, the Kaluans, I mean, they are not courageous enough to make a mistake. So now he's just doing whatever because who cares if he makes a mistake because he's got that courage now. That doesn't make any sense. Like that, how does that make any? That one just felt like they needed Brainy to be off in some way. I feel like it would have been better if he just started essentially sharing his deepest feelings with everybody. You know, like sharing stuff that he keeps to himself because he doesn't want to, because he has kind of that sort of feel about him, the socially awkward person that doesn't quite know when to shut their mouths, say too much. But it feels like he's grown past that and he has learned to sort of know when to not say too much. So it feels like this would be an episode where that maybe comes to the forefront and he's just saying whatever's on his mind that pops into his head. That could have led to some comedy, but instead they went with, oh, well, we need Brainy to not be as powerful in this episode, so the courage makes him make mistakes, because he's... That makes sense somehow. And then I do love the fact that, like, because Nia and William were both hit by it as well. Nia just apparently was not available for filming most of this episode, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of, because they're just like, oh yeah, somewhere off screen she's in a deep comatose state because she had the courage to go deeper into a dream than ever before. What? I don't know. You could have just sent her off on some, like, Andrea could have sent her off on some sort of mission that she's out of the picture for this episode or something. But no. We got to have it tied into our story somehow, so that's how it's going to be. And again, she just wakes up out of nowhere. And William as well, like, I don't know. He gets hit with the courage totem. He's already started to get more of a story because randomly out of nowhere, Andrea's just like, hey, why aren't you doing your job? And blah, 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 blah. And I don't know. It felt like a random side story thrown in. So he gets hit with the courage totem. And you would think, okay, so what's he going to do next? Well, nothing. He's gone. He's not in this episode except at the beginning and at the end, and that's sort of it. So I don't know. It's just that one felt weird to me because it felt like they had an idea of what they wanted to do with William, giving him the courage from the courage totem and stuff. But I don't know if they just ran out of time or maybe it was one of the things that just got cut down in the editing process. But yeah, he was just not involved at all. And then at the end of this, he's like, oh, I'm going to become embedded with the Super Friends. And I'm just like, what? Why is this a story? Like, I don't know, because Kelly was talking about something she's doing with Orlando, and then Andrea came in with this thing with William, and I just kind of felt like there was a bunch of side stories being set up that are not interesting. And then they all got ignored for this episode because Kelly doesn't show up until like the final battle, and then she and Alex have a talk about like how she wants Alex to be a part of her life or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, didn't they already get engaged? Did that happen? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that happened, but I can't remember now because this show, so much of it has gone out of my mind. But yeah, so whatever she's doing with Orlando apparently happened off screen, and I'm just like, okay, then why bring it up as if it's going to be a big part of this episode? And then the stuff with William, what Andrea's pressuring him to do, like that doesn't come up until the very end of this episode. So it just felt like there was stuff happening that all the writers threw all of this into one episode, and then the editors went in and started like editing stuff down. They're like, we have too much for one episode here, and we don't have more time for it. So they're like, we could just cut down that side story stuff. Which honestly, I mean, I don't mind. It feels like that's what happened. It feels like those side stories were brought up to be a part of this episode and then were pushed to the side because they ran out of time. Or maybe the next episode it's going to be like, this is what was happening while all the totem stuff was going on. And if they do that, then that's really going to be dumb because that means they dedicated a whole episode to the side stories, which we already did in the last one anyway. But yeah, so that's about... I don't know. I forgot the dumbest one. Yeah, so apparently whenever animals get affected by the courage totem, it turns them into like giant versions of themselves or something. An iguana gets hit with the courage totem, and then whenever he feels courageous, he's like, you know what? I'm going to use morphing powers. I'm a dragon now. I'm sorry. Because the thing is, like I said, the stuff with Jean and how he was acting, the stuff with Alex and how she was acting with the courage totem was actually kind of funny. But I couldn't enjoy the humor in that first scene whenever they started acting that way, because the fact that an iguana just turned into a dragon because it was courageous just completely threw me off. I couldn't enjoy the scene fully because my mind was so just, did they really do this? Like, it would have been too easy for the Super Friends if they just showed up and you've got all these people who are just super angry with each other for some reason, because I guess courage makes you angry somehow. I don't get that. But it would have been too easy for them to stop everybody if it was just a bunch of people fighting. So let's have the iguana turn into a dragon. Because that's how courage works, right? If I was super courageous, I could turn into the Hulk. Let me tell you. Oh, God, sometimes the stupidity on the show is incredible. It's incredible to witness. I want to sit in on some of these writing meetings. I want to sit in and be like, okay, writers, please take me through your writing process. Tell me why you think this was a good decision for you to write. Tell me why you think this was a good decision. Tell me why you think this was clever. Because I just want to know how stupid people think, you know? But the stuff with Nixley, though, and the courage totem and the whole trial. First of all, Vita, the Kryptonian witch, I don't know if that was an acting decision or a directing decision, but my God. It feels like it was a directing decision, because, I mean, they had Brainiac the same way as well, so I doubt that they just said to the woman, hey, just do whatever and then he'll copy you. It felt like the director was like, all right, I want you to act like you're... How would I describe that? Just the way that she talked all the time and then... It was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen on this show. And that's saying something, because I've seen a lot of weird shit on this show. But just, I don't understand what character they were going for, because it felt like a drunk aunt that was talking. Like that doesn't even do it justice, if I'm being honest. But that's just the closest thing I can think of. Is like your drunk aunt who's gets drunk every single family get together and she's just off to the side, just like wobbling around like You're doomed. You're all doomed. Oh my god. And then whenever they had Brainiac that way too, I'm just like, okay, no, this is continuing. We're gonna see more of Vita. Apparently, I can't wait. But yeah, of course the whole thing with Lena and her powers is still on the forefront. Now she's told Kara about it, so I don't know where all of that's going. Like I said, I figured that was whenever they brought it up with her mother and the fact that she might have the powers as well. I figured it was mostly because that's going to be the one thing the team can use to fight back against Nixley. Although it is kind of weird that we have that now. We have somebody who can fight back against Nixley, and yet we also have Nixley be depowered at the same time. Like, I figured Nixley got her powers back. Lena figures out she might have powers. Okay, well, there we go. Now we have something that can counterbalance that. But then the same episode, Nixley gets her powers taken away by Mixie when he went to the crystal. So it just sort of feels like, why take her powers away then if you're bringing it? I guess mainly because Lena doesn't have full control of it. Like, she hasn't really tested her abilities. But it still feels odd that we bring in a magic user just to thwart the magic of the villain. It feels now unbalanced in a way. But yeah, I mean, the actual trials themselves, like Nixley's made sense to me. Although I had a better idea in mind because Kara, she seemingly had her trial where she saved her sister and then had a chance to save somebody else, and she didn't do it originally, and so she goes and does it and she fails. And then Nixley stabs her dad because it's always what she wanted to do, and then she fails. Her solution was being vulnerable and opening up and telling her brother how he destroyed her life, which felt, I mean, it makes sense. Like, having the courage to be vulnerable, that does make sense. And I guess for Kara's, maybe not flying away, maybe accepting and being like, hey, I am Kara Danvers. Like, maybe opening up her secret identity, maybe that's what the totem is talking about. Because honestly, I mean, for Nixley, it made sense in the idea that she always wanted to seem stronger and essentially unbreakable, and like everything that happened with her dad and her brother like didn't affect her in any way. Like she just saw it more as a betrayal than something that truly hurt her. So her opening up to that hurt, I guess it kind of makes sense. It does still frustrate me that they're trying to do like the whole sympathetic villain thing with her, because she's still not. I still don't really sit there and go, oh, poor Nixley. I'm like, she's a crazy psycho bitch. Like, so what? But with Kara, though, I guess in one sense, sometimes courage also requires a bit of ignorance and stupidity. Like, to truly be 100% courageous to the point of I have no fear, it does require that bit of ignorance and not thinking about the consequences. So maybe that's kind of the point for Kara, is that opening up and revealing her identity, that would be very courageous. But it also would be stupid on her part to be that courageous, because then it would open her family up to so much trouble. Now, granted, most of the people that she cares about are already fighting with her in the first place, so it's not like her revealing her secret identity would suddenly bring hell down upon her sister. Her sister's already fighting alongside her. Her sister is capable of taking care of herself. And that's one thing that I will say, a lot of these Arrowverse shows, that's why I don't like that they bring so many people onto the team and they have so many of their loved ones also on the team, because it makes it feel a lot more, I guess, pointless to have a secret identity in the first place. Because, I mean, granted, obviously Catco, William, Andrea, they might be in a bit more danger if somebody was coming after Kara Danvers. But for the most part, it feels like, you know, your sister is fine. You know, she's able to take care of herself. Granted, I don't know where her adopted mother is, but you think about a lot of her friends, most of them are on the team. They're superheroes as well. So it's not like she would be bringing too much trouble. Maybe just for Catco, and that would be it. But, and honestly, I mean, Nixley kind of knows all about her already, so I don't know. I feel like the idea of secret identity on these shows has been so meaningless for the most part. Like, it started off in Arrow and The Flash and even Supergirl. The first couple seasons, it was like, we need to keep a secret identity. We need to make sure not that many people know about it because secret identities are important. We don't want everybody to know. And then at some point it was just like, trying to do all this stuff and have them keep their secret identity is too hard writing-wise, so who cares about secret identities anymore, right? The villain's gonna find it out anyway almost every season, so yeah, who cares? Lazy writing at its best. But yeah, I did have another idea, though. This is the final thing, then we can move on. About what would be a better trial of courage. Because they're bringing them back to this moment in time where, for Nixley, obviously, this was a huge moment where she had a chance to kill her dad, but failed to take action. For Supergirl, it was the first time she used her powers. So these are big moments in their past. I kind of was thinking, if you had the ability to go back in time and change something, but it might affect your future, it would take a lot of courage to still go through and do that same thing. Now, for Kara, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it's not like, maybe she does still regret not saving that one guy that she heard. Maybe she does still have some regrets about that. For Nixley, though, this was a huge moment where she could have taken the opportunity to kill her dad, but she didn't take it. So it's almost like having the courage to live with that regret and not go back and change your past. Realize that that's just a part of who you are and that's what it's already happened. You can't change it, so you have to live with it. Like, that takes a lot of courage. So I thought that's where they were going with it. But then, of course, once Nixley solved hers by being vulnerable, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's fine, I guess. I just, in my mind, I had already created this kind of fun thing where I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, having the courage to not make changes. But they went with something a little bit more simple. So, I mean, I shouldn't be too surprised, I guess. But yeah, all in all, it's Supergirl. That's the best I can say about it. So, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now, episode 14, Magical Thinking. God, there's so much stupidity in this show. First of all, everything with Kelly this season, I mean, to be fair, everything with Kelly since she showed up on the show has been kind of dumb. Like, she was sort of thrown in there, being James' sister, just sort of came out of nowhere. Also turns out she's a lesbian too, so that gave Alex her chance to hook up with somebody else. So it really felt like she was just sort of almost thrown into the show for a bunch of dumb reasons, because they needed to fill their quota. They needed to have the partner for Alex. They needed to have the connection to Superman, so why not throw in the sister of Jimmy Olsen that doesn't exist in the comics, by the way, was created for the show. So there's just a lot of stuff with her that's been really frustrating. And then, of course, we had a couple episodes ago that whole spiel that they went on. And now we've just got this random story thrown in where apparently she's trying to rehome an alien girl, but they don't tell us it's an alien girl, so that way we can be surprised later when all of a sudden she's breathing fire. Why? And the thing is, the mom looked shocked when she saw it. So did she not know she was an alien, or did they just not tell her her powers? Because I feel like both of those should have been explained to the parents before they rehomed her. If not, how stupid is Kelly or whatever adoption agency that this girl's going through? Because if you're going to try to get this girl to a home that's going to love her and accept her and want her to be there, you should probably be like, hey, so this girl's an alien. She's an alien girl. She doesn't have a family, though. She lost her family for whatever reason. Here is what she is capable of. She can breathe fire. Or whatever it is. Like, I don't even know, the one guy showed up just randomly breathing fire. I don't know why that was. That just happened. Because apparently they wanted to have this family involved somehow. And I love the fact that the mom was even like, oh, don't worry. They said it's over all the way over there. It's not going to be anywhere near us. And then all of a sudden, twice, they get attacked. And I'm just like, okay, so were you wrong? Or were the writers just like, I know we wrote it on this other side of town, but let's have it show up here randomly because we need tension. But how does the family not know what she's capable of? And if they do, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm sure we can handle it, then why couldn't they handle it? What changed their mind? Like, if you knew what this girl was capable of, then why? So no matter what the reasoning is, this story is stupid. Either Kelly or the adoption agency are stupid for not telling the family what this girl is about, like what she is, what she's capable of, or the family is stupid for saying, oh yeah, we can take care of her, knowing what they're getting themselves into, and then suddenly just like, oh, we saw it in action now, we can't do this anymore. How does that change your mind? What do you just, I'm sure they're lying about all that. Why would they lie to you about that? So there's no explanation that makes this story make sense. But what it does do, it sets up for Alex and Kelly. They might adopt the little girl. They could have a kid. Oh my gosh. Shut up! Stop pandering to your stupid fans. Write a damn good story. But no, they want to pander to all the fans out there who want Alex and Kelly to get married and have a kid. Which I asked in the last review, or last episode review, if they were engaged already. Kelly called Alex her girlfriend in this episode, so I would assume that means they're not. Because if they were engaged, then she would say fiance, right? So maybe I'm just remembering that they got engaged. I feel like I thought I remembered that happening, because I remember being like, wow, that's very sudden when it did happen, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that didn't happen and they're still just dating. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they did get engaged by the end of the season. But now, I mean, they're possibly going to be getting a kid the way that they stared at each other and stared at the little girl for like 20 seconds without saying a word. God, the amount of like... I like the fact that they do take those moments and those pauses to let the emotion show. Like, honestly, it is something that I think I've talked about before. Most of the acting on this show is good. You know, I don't typically have a problem with the acting. Obviously, there are your outliers like Vita or Brainy when he first joined in. There are those that pop up and they have the weird performances. The extras in the show are phenomenally bad. But like they do take that time to like let the emotion show. Have Kelly and Alex really have that moment of looking at the girl. Oh, maybe we can help. However, it takes way too long in this instance. Like, you already know where. Oh, excuse me. You already know where it's going, because they're already coming over and having this talk. I'm just like, yeah, I wish there was a way we could help her or something along. You have that moment, and already, it's clicking in probably everybody's mind. Even your stupid viewers, which, granted, this show probably has a lot of. Even the stupid ones could probably piece together, oh, I see where they're going with this. And yet they still take a long time to look at each other, look at the girl, look at each other, look at the lady opening the van, look at each other, look at the girl again. Come on. Why are we taking this long? We know what you're going for. All you have to do is just have them look at each other, look at the girl. Come on, let's go. And we know what they're implying. We know that they're thinking about possibly giving this girl a home. Easy peasy, problem solved, but no, we have to spend all this time. So anyways, moving on from that though, everything to do with Nixley and the humanity thing, also really dumb, because again, the writing on the show doesn't make any sense. So you've shown us that Nixley feels a lot. She has a lot of emotions. Obviously, the compassion side of her maybe is a bit lower in the empathy side of her, but it's still, you've not shown her to be like this totally evil person. Like, I think she is. From what I've seen, I'm like, she would be more fun to just be a villain. But they've tried to give her like this deeper side, this more sympathetic side to her. So when she's going through all of this stuff, it could have been kind of a funny and sort of like, oh, that's interesting, if you just made her a full-on psychopath. But you didn't. You made her a sympathetic villain who has a tragic backstory, and that's why she hurts so bad, because of everything she went through. So whenever she gets the humanity thing and she starts to feel compassion and empathy for people, it's not like it's a total change of character. It's not like if the Joker had gotten this, and all of a sudden he's just like, why? Why do I suddenly care about people? Like, that would be funny. And it would be interesting to see what would the Joker do if he had compassion and empathy. But you give it to this villain who's already shown, not necessarily compassion, but she's shown feeling, she's shown the ability to hurt and feel on a deeper level. And so now it doesn't make that much sense. Like, there are some moments where she feels so much that she can't even carry through with her plan because she is so compassionate. Like, it's almost like she's becoming a good guy. So that is like the extent of it, but it could have been so much more interesting to see a total flip of character. But the writing team was like, no, 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 we want her to be a sympathetic villain. And then when you get to this episode, it's like, okay, well, let's just show her start to care about people now. Like, that'll be the change here. How is that interesting? How is that enjoyable? It feels so minimalistic, basically, in your writing and your storytelling. So, very missed opportunity here, and it frustrates me to think about what could have been if you had made Nixley a more compelling and interesting and evil villain, and not tried to make her one of these sympathetic villains that almost every single villain outside of Lex Luthor on the show has felt like to me. So, let's see. The stuff with William and Andrea and writing and super friends and blah blah blah, like, this is just so dumb. Like, what's the point of all of this? Seriously, what is the point of all of this? Like, I know at the end they have this whole thing where he writes it so that way Supergirl and her friends can feel like, okay, well, now the people know what we're doing, so there's transparency, we're not keeping secrets from them, all of that. Like, I know that's the point of it, but seriously, what's the point of all of it? Like, who cares about any of this stuff? Like, if this was Kara having to write this, and she was basically being forced to, or else, hey, you're gone. If that was the story, I could see that being a little bit more interesting. You know, she's trying to figure out how to walk that line of giving just enough information to not give away all the secrets, but also not, like, holding everything back to the point where it feels like she's just writing nothing. You know, she's writing nothing pieces. And there is obviously the whole journalistic integrity and stuff. That is something that they try to play up way too much in the show. They try to make it seem like, oh, news sources, guys, you can trust news sources, because look how many trustworthy people are working at these news sources, right? I mean, we're not bought off. We're not looking for the high dollar thing. That's what they've tried to show. And now with Andrea in charge, now all of a sudden it's flipped to where now she is looking for the high bar, high dollar, high click count. Like, all of a sudden now it feels like she's taken over, and now, guys, this isn't true journalism, but it's just who she is. And it's made it far less interesting, because also Kara's not really doing much journalism right now. If she was still involved in that, if she was still writing, and Andrea's trying to force her to write this stuff that's high click count and all of that stuff, if that were more focused on, maybe. You know, it's like she's battling Nixley as Supergirl, but she's battling trying to not give in to the news status quo where you just write nothing headlines that sound fantastical to get people to click on it. That would be kind of an interesting story, but we've not focused on that at all. She's hardly been Kara Danvers' journalist. She's been mostly Supergirl this season. And what it also does is it makes Andrea seem like such an unlikable douchebag, and yet she's supposed to kind of be a good guy at this point. Like, she's not fully on, like, the team and helping them and all that, but we're supposed to kind of be rooting for her. Like, I from what I've seen on this show, we're supposed to feel like we want her to succeed. Now we've reached a point where, do I want her to succeed anymore? Like, she's so focused on trying to expose all of these secrets. Like, why? Why do I care about her anymore then? So it feels really dumb. William as well, like, he has this emotional moment with Lena, even though a few minutes ago we had just seen him having a conversation with Andre, and he's just like, yeah, I know I'm not friends with him and all of this stuff. And all of a sudden this scene happens, and it's almost like the music is, oh, guys, William, oh, isn't he so sweet? He's there for Lena. He's helping her with this BS story about how measuring ingredients and stuff doesn't matter when it comes to baking, because clearly that's how baking works. You can just wing it and just do whatever. As long as your heart's in it, you're going to make amazing stuff. But you have that moment, and it's just like, oh, William, and we just saw a scene with him where he's basically talking about, no, I'm just using them to get close to the truth. I can't let them think that I'm not trustworthy. Well, now this scene with Lena feels so much more manipulative, but the music plays it as if it's such a sweet scene. And then by the end of it, of course, he's doing his whole, like, no, I'm going to tell it my way. So it makes it sound like he's actually a good guy, but I don't trust him. I don't like him. He's not a likable guy. He's been so not focused on most of the season. It's like they just wrote him off the show and now they wanted to write him back in, so this is their reasoning for having him there. And that's just, again, it's lazy. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just, it's just not good. It's not good writing. It's sometimes dull, sometimes laughably bad, and sometimes just painfully bad. And of course, it's only going to get better because apparently Dreamer now is going to be going after the next one. So can't wait to see what all they're going to do with her. Which I will say also, the fact that she is all of a sudden much more confident about her abilities just sort of out of nowhere. Like, we didn't ever hit that moment where she's like, yes, I feel like I can do this now. Like, she reconciled with her sister and her brain or something, and I don't know, I never saw that moment where suddenly she was able to interpret a dream correctly right on time, and she's like, I can do this. It just sort of, in this episode, hey, yeah, magic sounds kind of like dreams. You want me to help with that? And then at the end, oh, the dreams token. I think I might know a thing or two about that one. So she's just all of a sudden confident out of nowhere. And also, can we talk about that opening Jenga shot and how I get sometimes to do cool camera shots, you have to ignore some realities and stuff. You don't put two blocks like this on top of each other, and you don't do that. You don't. It was like 3 and 3, and then Alex pulled this middle one on top. I know they did it for the camera shot, and that was the only way they could think to kind of get it through there. Is to, I guess. But yeah, it was not. That's not how you do it. And then of course it cuts to the full thing, and it's not actually set up like that. It was just for that camera shot. But yeah, I think that's about it though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna move on. I can't think of anything else at the moment. Something will come to me later. But anyways, on to the next one. See you there. And now episode 15, Hope for Tomorrow. I don't know which stupid story to tackle first is the problem. I guess I can start with Kara, because, yeah, she's trying to create this hope for tomorrow and hope that will last whatever. So I wasn't sure what the solution was going to be, because like they said, she's already kind of a symbol for hope, somebody that people look up to, blah, 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 blah. So I was kind of like, I mean, how are they going to spin this? How are they going to take this in a different direction? I did not expect them to take it in probably the dumbest direction possible, which is, oh, the best way to create hope for tomorrow is to just take away these nukes from these two countries. That'll do it. I'm sure all of these other countries surrounding the other ones are totally nice, by the way, and they're not going to see this as an opportunity to attack, because now these countries don't have, like, any possible way to defend themselves outside of, like, you know, just the military. Don't get me wrong. I understand that nuclear war and nuclear missiles and all that, it's not great. It's scary. However, if your country doesn't have it, kind of increases the chances that the countries that do will be like, well, hey, give us your stuff. But no. Everybody's going to be like, oh, these countries don't have nukes anymore? Well, good for them. You know what? We should follow their example and get rid of ours. And that's the thing. Supergirl just decides that for them. How is that hopeful? She essentially just said, hey, guess what? I'm going to use my power and I'm going to take away your stuff. That's right, you can't stop me from doing it. If another country does, I'm going to do it to them too. Yeah, you can't stop me. How is that hopeful? Think about that for a second. Superman and Lois literally just had this mature ethical debate about having a backup plan in case Superman gets too powerful. Like this mature conversation where you see both sides of it, you understand. This is just Supergirl going, hey, bad, you can't do that, and I'm gonna stop you. That's right, and you can't stop me from stopping you, so if I decide that I don't like anything you're doing, I'm just gonna take away your things. You can't stop me from doing it either. That's scary. That's not hopeful. Everybody that lives in these countries, especially if they get attacked by another one, there's a very good chance they're going to be terrified of Supergirl's power, because they're like, well, I mean, God, if we do something she doesn't like, she could just basically leave us defenseless against anybody. That's a terrifying thought. So already, off the bat, stupid main story. On top of that, you've also got Nixley, her whole plan, capturing William and all of that. Just kind of dumb. Because, yeah, William wrote this story on all of them. How do you know that Supergirl's going to be like, oh my god, no? Because she doesn't... I thought she knew that Kara was also Supergirl, but I guess she doesn't. Because she showed up at Catco and she didn't recognize Supergirl was right over there. Even though she could sense that Supergirl was in her head, I didn't think she knew about that. But then when William grabs the courage token at the end, she realizes that Kara is no longer connected. So just what's happening? I don't even know anymore. But yeah, so William manages to stop her, which I didn't even talk about that in was that the last episode? I don't even remember anymore. I think that was the last episode. Yeah, William is able to fight people, like martial arts master somehow, to the point where he's the one that stops Nixley. He kicks her leg out from under her, and instead of her just being like, hey, stop that, and using her little bracelet thing, she just falls to the ground completely stunned. She's just like, oh, what did you just do? I can't do anything. Oh, he's taking the thing off. Oh, I can't stop him. What? The guy's a human! And you're telling me that one swift leg kick is just all it took to take down Nixley, this super powerful fifth dimensional imp that's been able to easily handle all of these people. William stopped her. God, are you kidding me? God, how desperate are you to write William into this story? Oh, because you have Lena do this whole thing with the charm to make it stun her for a second so that William can get away, and that doesn't even work. So why even write that into the story, right? Why? Oh my god, there's just so much stuff just randomly happening. Somehow it seems like, I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming Lex managed to teleport this watch that turns into... I'm pretty sure that's the Lex suit. I'm fairly certain that's the Lex suit. Somehow manages to teleport this watch in there for her to use. How? Isn't he in prison? Didn't that happen? Or am I forgetting something? I'm pretty sure he's in prison. So what? How? Teleportation portals? What? Is stuff just happening now? Is that what I've got to accept that? Stuff is just happening. I shouldn't try to put any sort of logic and reason into it because stuff is just happening. It's like the end of Miss Marvel. You don't get any answers for why any of it is happening. It's just happening because we need the plot to move forward. So sure, yeah, William is the one that brings her down. Sure, yeah, Lex is sending her stuff to help her since she doesn't have the magic anymore and she can't create this all-stone because Supergirl destroys the Hope Totem because, oh, well, we've brought hope back before. Well, how do you know destroying the Hope Totem won't take away your hope? Dumbass. So yeah, I can't wait to see how there's no consequences for destroying the Hope Totem, by the way. Oh my god. It's as simple as, well, guys, people already don't have hope, but we still managed to bring them hope despite that. Okay. That justifies taking... How do you not think about the possibility that maybe, just maybe, the Hope Totem is connected to all hope, not just the majority of people's hope. So maybe you guys are still hopeful. Maybe you still feel that, even though everybody else doesn't. And that's how you managed to bring hope to other people because you used your own hope and did that. How do you know destroying the Hope Totem won't take away your hope too? To the point where now nobody has any hope, even you guys. But I'm sure that's not going to happen because that would be sad and depressing and require some actual logical thought, and I'm sure the writers didn't put any of that, so they're just gonna be like, yeah, you destroy the Hope Totem, who cares? Who cares that there's no more hope in the world? There still is hope in the world, despite there not being the Hope Totem, because that's how that works. Then we move on to... I thought there was one other thing outside of that story, before we get to Kelly and... I can't think of it. I guess that those were kind of the main two stories. So, Kelly and Alex. Yeah, like I said, anything to do with Kelly is just the absolute worst. So I figured they're gonna try to adopt the girl. I did not expect it to just be They had that look at the end of last episode. They've adopted her. I would love to have seen that adoption process. I would have loved to have seen that. Because just, what does Alex do, technically? Because she was in charge of the DEO, but the DEO is no longer around. So what does she do? What is her occupation? Because Kelly, I can kind of understand. You know, she's a therapist, so I'm sure that probably looks good in the eyes of the adoption agency. What does Alex do? And technically, they're not even married. They're still dating. So how exactly did any of this work? Did the adoption agency just go, oh, you know what? Alex, you're in charge of the DEO. You've dealt with aliens before. I guess that's enough for us. You guys haven't had any experience raising kids. You know what? It'll be fine. I'm sure you guys will love having your first kid to raise, even though she's not even a baby anymore. She's like, I would take a guess and say like 7 or 8. So it's not even like she's a baby and you can really use that to raise her. No. She is a kid. She is already a kid, which means she's already going through a lot of changes in her life. I'm sure the best solution for her is to send her to this couple who had no experience raising kids, as far as I know of. They're not even married. One of them, as far as I know, doesn't even have a public job. How did they adopt her? And in spite of all of this, how did they think this is a good idea? How does Kelly, a therapist, look at this situation and go, yeah, we're ready for this? You guys haven't even gotten married. You guys haven't even been dating for more than, 2 years? I'm fairly certain it's only been about 1.5 years since they got together. At least, as far as when these episodes are released. Because they got together at the end of, I think, season 4, maybe? So that's like 1 year, and then half of a season, a little over half of a season. So it's not even been 2 whole seasons they've been together, and they haven't gotten married. And yet, let's raise a kid together. We're doing this. We're acting like this is a good thing. Nowhere does anybody question that maybe this is a little too sudden. Maybe they're rushing into this a little bit. Maybe this isn't best for the girl who needs a family, who already had experience raising a kid. Oh my God. And even just think about your line of work. You guys are constantly putting each other in danger every day. Oh gosh. You guys are almost always in danger. You guys are almost always lives on the line. Planet about to explode, and you guys are facing the thing that's about to explode the planet. You guys are doing this, and you think it's a good idea for you to raise a kid. How does this make any sense? Writers, use your brains. This doesn't make any sense at all. This is a dumb decision on their part for the little girl, and nobody raises any questions. The only question that gets raised is, God, my mom did such a good job with Kara whenever she was adopted. Well, yeah, but, they had their problems. Yeah, but Kara was a teenager. This is a little girl. We should be able to handle this. Okay, your mom had the already experience of raising you as a kid. She had experience when she took Kara in. A lot of couples that raise kids for the first time, they don't start at child years. They start baby. They start raise the kid from a baby like most parents do when they have their own kids. You don't just jump headfirst into the deep waters of childhood when they're already past their terrible 2s, their 3s, their 4s, their 5s. You don't move into 7 and 8 right off the bat with no experience parenting at all. And when you're still in a dating relationship, you don't do that. But it's like the writers just have Kelly and Alex's relationship on fast forward. We haven't even gotten to the marriage section yet, and they're already like, let's have a kid. Let's go ahead and do that. Come on, guys. Let's go ahead and get through this real quick. You're stupid. This show is so dumb. It is. I hate this show. I hate myself for being such a completionist that I'm like, I just want to finish it. Like, it took everything in me to decide not to do Batwoman Season 3, because I am such a completionist. I'm like, no, I want to finish the show, I want to finish it, but it was so bad, and so painfully bad, that even the completionist side of me was like, you know what? That's one that I'm okay just sort of letting it go. I don't need to finish it. Because I'm already over halfway through the season, that side of me is just like, it's okay, just finish. It's 5 more episodes. You can do this. But my God, these past few episodes have had some really painfully bad stuff. Not funny bad, not bad in like a, oh, come on, guys. This has been painful stuff. This has been stuff that people with a brain are going, my God, I'm losing brain cells listening to this stupid shit. It makes no sense. And they write it and they say it as if it's all the most profound stuff in the world. And it's just so dumb. Oh my God, I really... I want to meet this writing team. I want to meet the people who wrote this and said, hey, this is a good idea. This is a great idea. Let's have Kelly and Alex adopt this young girl she's not only, I didn't even think about this, she's not only a kid who's already in the kid years where she's starting to, she thinks for herself, she's seeing a lot of the stuff in the world, she's developing her own opinions and thoughts at this age. Not only all of that, she's an alien who she mimics other aliens' powers. That already is like a busted power to begin with. Also, the fact that makes the scene from last episode even dumber, because apparently she got super unlucky that the one of the few guys that attacked their house just happened to be an alien, and that was enough to freak out the parents. That already is just so dumb. It's like, oh, what a coincidence. It couldn't be just several humans attack the house and then there are no problems. No, one of them had to be an alien, so that way they could cause this conflict. The writers are just sitting there, they're like, oh, we're so brilliant, guys. We're so smart, and we're just gonna write this conflict in there, and oh, isn't this so sad? Isn't this so sad? Oh. But yeah, Kelly and Alex are not ready for this. This little girl, I know it's all gonna work out fine because the writers want us to think that everything's gonna be fine, but this should not work out fine. In the real world, this would not work out fine. This poor little girl would suffer. Because Kelly and Alex would do so many things. They're already doing so many things that show they're not ready to be parents. But it's by the end of the episode, oh, we're so ready for this. This has felt so good, didn't it? Didn't it feel so good? Oh, man. So, yeah. Obviously, you know my thoughts on the show. You know how stupid this show is. Or I hope you know how stupid this show is. I hope you're not sitting here going, God, he's such an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about at all. If you think that, hell, go ahead and leave some comments so the interaction on my channel gets a little bit higher, but after that, you don't have to stick around. You can leave. That's perfectly fine. Because, yeah, it really is dumb. So, anyways, with all that being said, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Supergirl reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.